Welcome to Hollywood Changemakers, a podcast by entertainment industry professionals who want to talk about the issues that impact our culture from a new perspective. Faith, this is Hollywood Changemakers.
Hi, I'm Karen Covell of the Hollywood Prayer Network. Welcome to another episode of Hollywood Changemakers. Today I have a fabulous guest, a dear friend, an amazing producer, a Renaissance woman. Anytime I want advice or insight into something, I ask Carrie Certa. So I want to welcome you, Carrie Certa, to our program today. Thank you so much. Today we are talking about a very big issue in our industry. It's an upcoming strike. It's an issue between the producers and IATSE, which are the unions in town. And the issue becomes, how do we treat the people on a film set? What's going on? How do we do the scheduling, the timing, the way we handle people? What money do they get paid? And it's a wild issue. And Carrie is someone I want to get her opinion on that today.
Well, first, I just have to say, I am a producer, but I'm not part of the AMPTP. That's more on the network side. So I have gotten the question, like, why are you doing this? I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I am for you. I am so happy. You know, it just came out that 98% of IATSE members voted for to give permission to strike. So that's really exciting. And I really hope that there is somewhat of a waterfall effect, that if IATSE gets what they want and what they're asking for, which is completely reasonable, it actually helps the producers who are in the field. So it's the producers in the field that don't really have a say as AMPTP. It's really the studios. So we're with IA on this.
Can you give a foundational explanation of what the issues are? Producers in the field are basically television producers who are out on location shooting shows, and tell me the issues that they're struggling with right now.
Well, for producers, it's the same issues that IA is having. The extremely long hours, 16, 18 hours is not uncommon, which is very sad. As producers, we don't get health benefits because we're seen as management, when in reality, we have about 4 or 5 people above us. You know?
Always.
Right. It's like, I'm not sure exactly what I'm managing besides the set here. I don't decide what goes on the air. I'm in the field getting the content, and then they edit it, and then ultimately the network decides what is on the air because they give notes as well.
And we don't decide the budget. We don't decide.
No.
There's so much we're not in control of, and yet they say we're the employers.
You know, right now I'm a line producer. I'm known in the industry as a line producer, so I'm in charge of the budget and the schedule, and I just had an issue where I didn't decide who was in the field for me. It was a network decision. So there is a fine line of what I can and cannot do, and each show is different on what I can and cannot do. I do not work my people 18 hours when it's my decision, but I have been worked 18 hours before. There's one story that I have that I don't work in reality anymore because of the abuses that were happening in the field. I was working in Miami. It was probably the 26th day in a row. We didn't have any days off. The cameraman did get broken at 12 hours. Then we brought in a second crew while the producers continued on. They ended up, in order to save money, they combined the first AD and the production manager job into one. So I had 2 walkies on me for 16 hours a day.
Responding to two different teams.
2 different teams, because I had to be on top of it as first AD, and as the production manager, I had to talk to my team on what we needed on set. So I ended up in the hospital because of that with a dented sternum. So you know how people say, oh, my back's out, I have an injury from work? My chest goes out every once in a while, and I can't breathe, I can't lift things with my arm, and I have to go to a massage therapist to massage my chest, literally. So, and that was because of reality TV. And the stories that we're hearing out of IA, they are hard to believe, but because I've lived it, I believe every single thing that they're telling us. Because it's just extreme. And it's not necessary. That's the thing that kills me. It's not necessary.
Well, it's almost as if we take ourselves so seriously that we think what we're doing is more important than anything else in the world, and it's worth giving up your life for in order to get that shot. And I have stacks of stories and emails about people that are working on set, strong, intelligent, committed people who are having panic attacks because they can't sleep, They are always being blamed for things.
Oh my
They're
gosh.
pushed beyond their limit. If anything goes right, they never get credit. But if anything goes wrong, it's all their fault. The stress is so intense. You never give enough. You never have enough, and you're never paid enough. And so it's like stacks of stories and stories. And I'm hoping that this strike can really actually do something about it.
It has to. This is the time. It's perfect timing, I think, because they've never gone on strike before. Ever in the history of IATSE have they gone on strike? If they don't do it now, they'll never take them seriously. AMPTP will never take them seriously. So that's why it was so important that they got a high percentage of yeses over the weekend, and they did. I'm so, so proud of them. And the fact that big-time producers like Samantha Bee is putting it as part of her program, why this is so important, and is airing it on her network, it's like, yes.
Fabulous.
There's so many people who are not so many producers, executive producers who are not management. We still answer to the big guy, the networks, that are behind this. Like, yes, please do this now, because we need a break too.
Yes. Well, it's so interesting that I think we're at a time now with so many issues, the Me Too issue and these different, the racial issues, all the things that we're dealing with in our industry. I think we're finally at a point where we're saying, wait a minute, let's deal with the elephant in the room, and let's handle something that we've been ignoring for decades.
But even COVID, look at all the other jobs, the customer service jobs that they can't get filled now because of COVID. It's like, look, we have reassessed our own lives. This is not worth it. I can't make a living wage working these insane hours and being abused for it. What is the point? That's not living.
Yeah, it's
and
not.
I think that's hit our industry so incredibly hard in such a great way. So on the other side, if you put yourself in AMPTP's shoes, may feel a little uncomfortable, but the conversation I want to have with them is, okay, you're working them 18 hours. If you cut that back, because all they're asking is for 12-hour days, 12 hours on, 12 hours off, right? If you break that down, your productivity will go up because they'll be well rested. You may pay a little bit more money, but I'm going to guess it's going to even out because you're not paying all that extra overtime.
Yes.
So you get a better product, you'll get more Emmys, you'll get more Oscars. Give us our sleep, and we all win.
We all win. And it is such short-term thinking. It really is. Now, I have a dear friend years ago who was a producer of sitcoms. It wasn't reality. But in his contract, and this was pretty trend-setting, he started it during Happy Days. And in his contract, he said, I'm a dad of young kids. My show, I'm going to leave at 6 o'clock, and my staff is going to leave at 6 o'clock. And we're going to do our show within these hours. It's not going to compromise the excellency of it, but we're going to show that our team can have a healthy life outside of work and that we don't have to give up everything just for this show. And for decades, his shows were successful. Whereas even down the hall at the studio, there are other people dying and watching them go home, and they're there till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. I think there's a mindset that we have to tell people is possible, but we can't just, first of all, have our whole life just be this TV show. Have some balance in our life. And also question our own lives. Why am I doing this to somebody else? What's going on in me that I need to have somebody else be pulled down with me? It's really...
But if you talk to the people who are in the field, everyone agrees with what's happening right now with IATSE. Everyone agrees.
Yes.
If you talk to people who are not in the field and not boots on the ground, if you're just sitting in a director's chair watching everything happen, why isn't that guy... I have gotten this where an executive from the network has shown up on set and go, that entire team, I want them fired. Why? They're not doing anything. We're shooting. It's the grip department. If they're doing anything right now, yes, I will fire them. Right now, I need them sitting.
They better not do anything.
Right. So there needs to be an understanding from both sides of what we're actually doing. Just because someone's sitting on their butt doesn't mean they're not doing anything. They're doing exactly in that moment what they should be doing.
Yeah.
So
the irony is, you cannot do a production without a team. It takes a community, a village, and yet there's not that mindset of I need everybody. I need the crew. I need the PAs. I need the director. I need the talent. I need the producers. Why we can't walk into it saying we all need each other? I think that would change everything.
Yeah, I can't say it better. No, because it's true. I think, being a line producer, the conversations that I have about how do we save money, the first thing to go? PAs. No. That's not a lot of money. Like, let's
That's
not
the
lose
least
that.
of the money. These poor people are barely making a living, and
Right.
yet they are the undergirding of the entire production.
They're first there, last out with production. Like, they are essential to be on that set. And it's time and time again, I've seen that cut. And when you don't have the team that you need in production, and then you start losing your days, guess who pays for it? Oh, Post. So Post
and then
gets
you
the
get
short
mad
end of the
because
stick.
you go over budget on Post because of everything that has to be fixed.
Right.
I have a story of a young friend who is going through the DGA program, right now assisting. He has met people on different teams of whatever show he's working on, and they are all PAs. They are literally just trying to survive to get through this. And what they've done is they've each given each other a copy of a key to their apartment, so that whatever set you're on with this team, it's like, I don't know how many, 8 people, whatever place you are in the city, you use the key of the apartment that's closest to you.
Oh, my Lord.
And crash on
That's
their
amazing.
sofa so that you can get half hour more sleep, 20 minutes more sleep, whatever it is.
Yeah.
They are so desperate to get sleep that they don't want to drive home if they're closer to somebody else's apartment. There's a problem with this.
That's an amazing story to hear, that they are backing each other, but it's sad that it's necessary.
Yeah, that's why it is sad. It's necessary. So tell me what you think needs to happen in the upcoming strike and what you think might happen.
Well, the first step was getting that 98% to vote, yes, we approve the conversations of a strike. So that is amazing. AMPTP has to come to the table now and start taking it seriously on what IA is asking for, because what AMPTP is putting on the table, in my mind, is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. They've doubled up the required hours to get health care. Why is this still an issue in America? They're not giving a living wage. LA is in a very expensive city. We have to give a living wage. And the hours, we need turnaround, we need rest. And yes, for those who have families, we don't see our families. Are you kidding me? I'm going to go on hiatus in December. I'll see you then, is really
that's
what's
it.
happening. To have a full, I think it's 54, 56 hours turnaround to have a weekend. It doesn't have to be Saturday, Sunday. But give us two days to do nothing. Do laundry.
That's right.
And the realism of that is those 2 days that you have off, you're doing laundry, you're getting groceries, you're doing stuff that you have to do to survive. And then maybe that second day, you can
have
sleep
some
in
rest,
and
but
some rest.
yeah.
So it's not even a full 2 days of rest.
But you also want to see family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
There's a social element to us as human beings where we need to connect in a joyful way with people too.
And we've missed out on that so much during COVID. Let's not do that.
Yeah,
And
let's
when
not
we go
keep
back
doing
to work,
it.
I was like, please.
Yeah.
It's been so hard, but in some respects, I want to thank COVID for kind of putting a new perspective on life in general for everybody. I think around the world, and say enough is enough.
Yeah.
Enough is enough.
Now, here's a tough question. What do you think is honestly, there's often the issues, and then there are the underlying issues. What do you think causes this problem?
Money, greed. I mean, they want to have the best bottom line, and they'll say, well, I have to answer to the shareholders. Okay, how do you answer to the shareholders when somebody has just worked a 16-hour day and then drives home and dies in a car accident? You don't go to the meetings with those stories, do you? We have to keep our crew safe. As a line producer, I take that very personally. And I look at that stuff. And again, I got out of reality because of the abuses of it. The last job I had, I was fired. I'm like, oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Woo!
Fire me, please.
Right, because I wouldn't do something that I considered immoral. It's like, this is the fine line for me. I just gave you 18 hours, 26 days straight, and that's not good enough for you? Okay, I'm gone. Now I can get unemployment. Thank you for firing me.
That's right.
And now it's like, there's blessings in disguise. But honestly, they have to do this now because with SAG, I am a SAG member, and they received such a horrific new contract that a lot of their seniors lost their health benefits.
Oh, that was awful. When
Yes. So Ed Asner, I think God bless him, he's passed on, but he was in the middle of suing SAG for this horrible deal. And the judge in that case said, we're going to let it move forward. Even though he's passed on, this is important. We're going to let this move forward. I'm like, thank you so much.
They're respecting his and honoring him. Yeah.
Yes. But it's so true. There's so many people who lost their health insurance. And it was, in my opinion, that there was information about that contract negotiation that was not given to its members, and why they voted yes for something that ultimately hurt us considerably. And if AMPTP thinks that they can do this to them, that's SAG. What can we do to these guys? Let's keep pushing back. Look, it's 15,000 members IA, 150,000
yes.
members, working members of IA. This could cripple us. Now, a lot of us who were there for the WGA strike, I believe it was 8 weeks, and it did hurt.
It did hurt.
It hurt a lot.
For years.
Yeah. That could happen again. And we all remember that. So I really hope AMPTP remembers that, like, enough is enough. And they put their foot down, and we actually get a living wage. We actually get turnaround. We hit weekends. It'd be amazing. So if they can get that, the rest of all the other, like WGA, DGA, SAG needs to go back when they get to renegotiate. The other thing I'm thinking about is, HBO, Showtime. There's about 4 or 5 networks that already have contracts with them, so they don't get to strike necessarily. They have to keep working if the rest of them go on strike. I'm not sure the legalities on that, but they already have a contract. I don't know what their contracts are. Maybe that's something they can renegotiate, because I do have friends that work on HBO shows, and they say the conditions are not great for them.
Yeah.
It's
like
here are the
issues
hours
there too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I really hope that this is a domino effect for all guilds and all members and all contracts. The legacy contracts need to go, I think, in my opinion, because I work at a network now. I don't know what the contracts are.
They don't even know them.
No, I don't. They don't share them with me, because.
And as the producer, you should be knowing what the people are
I have to
doing
go to the network and like,
do.
okay, what are the rules I have to follow? And they only tell me when it comes up. So that's stuff it's really hard as a producer. Again, I don't get to make decisions.
And yet you're supposed to be the employer that knows everything. And,
right,
and
I
hires
don't.
Everybody. Yeah.
I don't. I know you think I know everything. I don't.
No, it's not true. Here's the thing I see. The bottom line is, you're right. It's greed, it's power, it's issues of real human insecurity as well, of needing to feel more important or needing to get more money.
Ego?
Ego? Could that be part of it? What I believe is, we are here on earth for one reason: relationships. Relationship with God and with other people. And if we forego the relationships to get more money, to get more power, to get more of whatever we think, we're only ultimately going to be destroyed. And I know why I love you so much as a producer is you care about the relationships. You care about the people. And like you said, you're going to get a better job. The end result is going to be better if you treat the people that are working for you better because you care about them. This is the message that I just think is so important, and what you represent. We've got to care about the people.
It was maybe 10 years ago. I had a serious conversation with myself about, am I going to leave this industry? I love what I do so much, and I get asked that all the time. If it's so horrible, why are you there? This is part of my soul and who I am. I have to be creative in some sort of way.
Have to, yes.
And so I was in an extremely abusive work relationship where the executive producer, owner of the company, had a morning and an evening meeting. And I think he felt it necessary to make someone cry at that meeting. So he would pick somebody out at the table and pick on them. Now me, as I was a supervising producer, and I would jump in front of them, basically. He would start berating them, whatever, and I go, well, I made that decision, and blah, 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 and then he'd turn on me. And so I would sit there until I cried. And at one point, he said, I'm very Sicilian, so I do have a quick temper. I admit that. That's one of my faults. And so I had a decision to make every meeting. Am I going to cry or am I going to scream? And so I decided to cry. And he would go, one meeting, he goes, you cry like I've beaten you. And I said, I'm trying to be respectful to you, because if I go off the handle, it's not going to be pretty for anybody. So I've decided to cry in order to take this abuse on behalf of my people. And so we had a mutual parting. He says I was fired. I said I quit, but whatever. And I sat on my sofa and for the next week just feeling like I was the worst person on the planet because I was like, did I not know how to do my job? Was I a bad producer? Do I need to get out of this job? Everyone says you need to have thick skin in this industry. Do I? Or do things need to change?
There you go.
That's the bottom line. And I sat on my sofa, and about 2 days later, a friend who had never hired me before texted me, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm watching Oprah. What you want?" It was like, that was it. And he goes, "I have a potential job for you. It's for Disney." And I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to get back in. I was hurt that badly, mentally, it wasn't physically abused, but it was emotional.
Yes.
It was so incredibly draining.
Psychological mess up, yeah.
And the thing was, I went in, and I said, "It's Disney. I've always wanted to work for Disney." And I go in, and it's this man I'd never met before. His name's Mickey. I love him dearly. And he was the first executive producer that was outwardly Christian. And I was like, okay, not sure what I'm going to get out of this. I was like, what is happening? But I have to tell you, I just came from the worst experience of my life and got the best experience of my life. And the thing was, he was incredibly supportive. He had children of his own. He understood it. He was the owner of the company. He edited himself. He directed himself. He took on that responsibility. But the best part of this experience for me was it was my first time line producing for a big company. And so my first day for Disney, I had to do 7 budgets in one day. They kept on sending me notes. And I was like, I'm going to mess this up. So I went to my friend who had hired me, and I said, I don't think I'm right for this job. They're not liking my budget. I don't know what to do. And I called another person, like, can you step in and replace me? Because I didn't want to leave them hanging. I'm like, look, I've only been on the job for 24 hours, but I think I need to step back. And he's like, wait, what? Are you? Oh, okay. So the next morning, Mickey said, come into my office. And he goes, so I heard what your stresses are. He goes, I don't want anybody else. I hired you. You're the person I want. So let's get you the help you need. And so I went through with him, and he sat down and actually cared about the stresses I was going through. He kind of heard what I just came from. And within 24 hours, he set up a meeting with somebody at Disney to go through. He's like, oh, this is what they're looking at. Gave me the truth of the matter of what they're seeing. And I was able to give them a budget they needed. I said, see, I knew you could do it. And he kept me on, and I worked 3 other jobs with him. And it was just that amount of caring for your own team.
That's it. And that's
that turned
all
it around.
takes.
I know. And it was just like, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm here.
And this is why I'm here. I'm here for the same reason. We want to lift up people. We want to be creative. We want to do the best we can. We want to tell great stories. We want to treat each other well along the way, and it's not impossible. So as you walk through this whole strike situation, I just want to thank you for being the kind of person that we need in Hollywood. I am so grateful for you. That was an incredible story, and we look forward to what's going to happen. Thanks for joining us at Hollywood Changemakers, and thank you, Carrie Certa, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Hollywood Changemakers. If you'd like to get connected with us, our Instagram handle is @HollywoodChangemakers. Find out more at HollywoodPrayerNetwork.com.